And then that, idiot Will Poulter running around peeing on trees.
Will Poulter. Oh my God.
I don't think enough. All right, so it's easy to focus on Florence. Oh, brother, that's why I messed it up. It's easy to focus on how great Florence is because she's just amazing. But I really like Jack Rayner's performance. He is a tool.
I don't think he's as much of a tool as some of the writing has led you to believe. I don't know. I thought they were both at fault in certain ways and both arrogant in certain ways. And they were definitely two people who should not be together. Yeah. And I think the horror element of this is the exaggeration to which their downfall occurs. I don't think that this is much of a mystery film. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think when you go to a cult in a movie, that's not going to end well. Yeah. And it's just like going to a haunted house. It's haunted. You're just waiting for how these characters are going to react to this haunting, how these characters are going to react to this cult, and what that's going to mean for their relationship and what that means for their characters overall.
Knowing where this was going was much easier for me to handle than it was with Hereditary. Hereditary, I just felt like I was walking towards what I knew was going to happen. And in this one, I knew what was going to happen, but it still had some fun surprises for me in the way of going there. So I like this more than Hereditary.
It doesn't have the immediate shock of Hereditary because, that light pole in Hereditary just wrecks you.
Yeah, a lot of people
it wrecks her and it wrecks you.
A lot of people lost their heads over that moment.
Oh!
Yeah. Bad, so bad. But this movie, okay, and also I think it should be appreciated that Hereditary's 2018, Midsommar's 2019. I don't know how long the process of editing and showing Hereditary was, but Ari Aster did not have long to follow this movie up. And the one thing I was really worried about is he just made this amazing movie this very popular movie in 2018. What is it going to be like a year later? How is he going to find that depth in it? And
it reminds me of kind of M. Night Shyamalan making Sixth Sense in 99 and then Unbreakable in 2000, where it wasn't as perfectly received as Sixth Sense was, but over time we've kind of come to love Unbreakable and given it the critical reevaluation it deserves.
It's my favorite superhero movie.
Mm-hmm. It's up there.
Hands down. And so this, I don't know. I don't want to get more into it. You know where it goes. But I think the performances are solid. I really liked, William Jackson Harper. He's Chidi from The Good Place. So seeing him on screen made me very happy. Just the squishes and the blood. Oh man.
And one of my favorite scenes of any movie this year is the crowd of women mimicking her crying.
Yeah.
And taking her burden away from her, but also drowning it out. So she doesn't have it anymore.
And the best.
And then that's what happens with the people burning alive in the building. They're taking on that thereby drowning it out.
Oh man.
That movie hit me hard. And my ranking of Midsommar on my list, I think, was number 3. If it was the director's cut, it would probably be ranked lower because I think the director's cut is a weaker film.
Wow.
It's 30 minutes longer and it makes Christian more of an asshole.
Not good.
Yeah. And it tragically uncomplicates the messiness of her redemption at the end.
That is a messy redemption. You ready for 4?
What is 4?
Lighthouse.
Ah, the Lighthouse.
A nice tale between Ifrin and Thomas and lots of farts and mermaids. And
I think Robert Eggers has described it's a movie about masculinity in which 2 men are in a large phallus giving every bodily fluid known to man.
Yeah. I mean, they do. Everything they give. And I like that, a lot of people focus on the farts because it's easy, but after reading what Eggers had to say about it, misery is hilarious, and that's why he wanted the farts to come early. I don't feel bad talking about it because he's been upfront about it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just the Fart Lighthouse movie, but I think that as soon as
The
I
Fart
heard
House.
the light fart. Now
The Fart House, like the Vitch.
I want to hear arguments about how do you spell the Fart House? The 3 F's. Now, this movie, as soon as that first fart happened, it kind of told me, okay, this movie is a comedy of sorts. And so I was able to really get on its wavelength the way they made it. And then I started looking at the performances, and Willem Dafoe better win an Academy Award for this. And I listened to an interview that he was doing. He said that Eggers makes his world so full and complete, you're able to give yourself to it, and it's not that hard. Which I thought was pretty cool about this movie. But it feels so authentic. And this, they shot on, 16? No, what did they shoot on? Yeah, and then, it's not the widescreen that you're used to. It's more of like, 185 to 1 maybe? What aspect?
No, it's not even 4:3. It's narrower. It's one. I think it's 1.13 or 1.2 to 1. So it's almost a square.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's just, it wouldn't be 1.85 to 1. But I love the look. I love the world. I love the weird mermaid things. I love that they were drinking turpentine. It's just a fun descent into misery.
It is. And the reason it's not higher on my horror list is because as a horror movie, it would be lower. But I think as just a character chamber drama between these two guys, it gets to horror by the end, but before that, there's a lot of glimpses of it. It's really just madness. It's just showing a descent into madness in a very, very slow, and at first to me, it was a little distancing, but once I got kind of caught onto his wavelength, so I want to watch it again too. It's like a masculine inversion of what The Witch is. And The Witch is kind of a mass psychosis bordering on vaguely supernatural that takes hold with violent consequences. That's what I describe The Witch as.
And baby goo.
Oh, baby goo. Rub the baby goo all over.
I guess you'd have to put this almost in air quotes, right? This movie. But it's being put in every list, so I just had to include it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the Bird Wrangler did their damn job that day.
Oh my gosh. I love the seagulls. Best seagulls since Shallows.
Best seagull murder since I don't know when. I've never seen a seagull murder.
Best
obliterating a seagull.
That's the word I was about to use. Obliteration. There was nothing left of that seagull.
Someone's got to make a gif of that. Just like a looping gif of him bashing that seagull.
I'd use it. That's a good thing to show frustration.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. All right. Number 3. And this is all basically because of me. So this is One Cut of the Dead. The, $25,000 film made by Japanese film students that went on to make 30 million worldwide and just makes me so happy. As someone who has been on tons of film sets and someone who loves kind of low budget ideas and making things work out of nothing. I mean, you think about Blair Witch, you think about all these kind of shows. I think it's just endlessly inventive, put a massive smile on my face, and just nothing, even though it's supposedly a horror movie, but nothing made me happier than One Cut of the Dead this year.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is the movie that had the biggest turnaround in terms of my reaction to it from opening to closing. Because, I think we can give a basic summary without giving anything away. A film crew is shooting like a zombie movie, right?
Yeah.
And then an actual zombie appears and starts taking them out, and it's all in this one 40-minute shot without cuts. And that's the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
And the first half of the movie, I was like, okay, I'm impressed by some of the technical, but also there's some weird stuff going on. And I was kind of zoning out as to kind of not really engage with it. But man, do you got to stick with this movie. You got to stick with it because it becomes goddamn wonderful.
I want that on the box. Action!
Stick with it. A little boring at first, but then becomes really.
Palm. Just, I love this. Zach, like, you've been on smaller films before, so just watching watching some of the production assistants fall, watching this scramble, watching the blood tubes, the bad backs. It's just, oh man.
Watching that kind of sense of community form, that sense of just emotional, let's get this job done.
And at the end, everyone's smiling. Like, I've been on some gnarly shoots, and when we get done with it, we're like, all right, that was fun. And you're like, wait, no, it wasn't. But just watching that, the best puke of 2019, aside from better than Knives Out, I'm going to say. I know that's controversial.
Look, there's a lot of puke to compete with, but yeah, that would be up there.
Great puke. But no,
we got the Lighthouse, we got the Perfection, you got.
And I'm going, because I like the puke because of knowing the setup for the puke.
Yes.
That's a 3-step puker.
It's a 3-step puker.
Now, I'm very happy with our 1 and 2, Zach.
I am too. And if it gets more people to see these 2 movies, I'm going to be very happy.
How in Sam Hell did Dr. Sleep not do better? Should it have been released, which is our number 2? Should it have been released on Halloween? It's a follow up to The Shining, dude. Like, what? Why
should it
not?
Have been called Dr. Sleep: A Shining Story?
The Shining 2: Lack of Sleep.
Or just shining in the title. I think that was the biggest disconnect, because most of the people who didn't see it that I talked to didn't know it was a Shining sequel.
The best
and
villain.
Like, you gotta see it.
The best villain of 2019 is Rose the Hat.
Rose the Hat. I'll give that to you.
I read the book, and I woke up one night screaming because I thought I saw Rose the Hat. And what I think got me about her in the book and in the movie is how casual she is with her murder and her way. Like, you don't see many villains like her, so casual and just so, this is what I am, this is what I need to survive, and I don't care if I have to go to extreme horrible measures because I need to keep these people alive and I need to stay alive. It's a very compelling villain in this film.
Mm-hmm. And it's someone who's been at it for a long time, of course, because that's why she's doing it, and has kind of distanced herself from any kind of humanity in that way.
Oh.
It's a vampire narrative in that way. It's a soul vampire. They're basically soul vampires is what people call them. And
Steam.
It's accurate. Oh, steam vampire. Yes, the steam.
Oh, yeah.
They take the shine.
This and Bliss have kind of secret vampires, or not quite vampires, but vampires, sort of.
Yeah, and what strikes me about Dr. Sleep is that it feels like an epic. So you have movies like Midsommar, Dr. Sleep, you have It Chapter 2, these like 2.5 to almost 3 hour horror epics. There had never been really that many horror movies prior to Suspiria remake that were
more explosions,
over 2.5 hours. And now in the last couple of years, we've gotten many of them. Is it the influence of TV and that kind of serialized content that is doing that? Is the runtime a hindrance because It Chapter 2 did a lot worse than It Chapter 1 and Dr. Sleep got almost no one to go see it? I don't know. This movie doesn't feel like 2.5 hours. It feels like an epic in the way that The Shining felt like an epic. And I've been a big fan of Mike Flanagan ever since Absentia. I just have enjoyed and sometimes loved everything he's done, especially Gerald's Game, especially Oculus. And I'm just glad that this might be his masterpiece. This is a culmination of all the things he's been experimenting with, the kinds of suspense he's been experimenting with in Haunting of Hill House,